They told us Japanese elders eat their way to 100. But what if those famous foods, the rice, the fish, the miso soup, are part of the biggest lie in aging? For decades, we've been sold the idea that a simple diet from another culture holds the magic key to a longer life. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many of those so-called miracle foods can actually backfire, leaving seniors with rising blood pressure, sugar spikes, and health struggles that nobody talks about. Imagine copying a tradition faithfully, only to discover it doesn't fit your body, your lifestyle, or the reality of aging in America. That's why today we're pulling back the curtain to expose the 5 big lies about Japanese longevity, the myths that have misled millions, and we'll uncover the truths that could transform how you eat, move, and thrive after 60. If you want honest, better aging advice, hit like and subscribe now, because what you're about to hear will surprise you. Dr. Akihiro Takasumi was not just another physician in Japan, he became a legend. Born in the early 1900s, he practiced medicine for more than 70 years and lived past 105, gaining respect both as a healer and as a living example of resilience. Patients and younger doctors often pressed him to reveal his secret, expecting him to point to bowls of rice, plates of grilled fish, or steaming cups of green tea. But instead, Dr. Takasumi often leaned back, smiled, and said a sentence that shocked many. Food isn't the secret. It's only one small piece of the puzzle. This single statement shattered expectations. People wanted a simple formula, a magical ingredient, or a hidden diet trick they could copy. Yet Dr. Takasumi insisted that longevity came from daily rhythm, mindful habits, and the company you keep. To him, rice and miso were not the magic. They were merely familiar fuel for a much larger way of living. He reminded audiences that in Japan, many who ate the same food still struggled with diabetes, hypertension, or strokes. His message was clear. If food alone were enough, every elder in Tokyo would reach 100. Now let's bring this closer to home with Margaret Holloway, a 72-year-old retiree from Ohio. Margaret had read books and watched documentaries about Japanese centenarians. Inspired, she filled her pantry with bags of rice, stocked her fridge with tofu, and brewed green tea every morning. For months, she followed the routine faithfully, believing she was walking the same path as Dr. Takasumi's peers. But reality soon disappointed her. Instead of glowing health, Margaret found herself facing rising blood pressure, stubborn fatigue, and frustration. Her doctor warned her that the high salt content of miso and soy sauce was working against her heart, and the extra rice was raising her blood sugar. This contrast sets up the tension at the heart of our story. If a wise physician like Dr. Takasumi insists food is only a fraction of the answer, and if Margaret's attempt to copy the Japanese table left her feeling worse instead of better, then the question becomes unavoidable. What really works for seniors in America who want to thrive past 60? That question is where the truth begins to unfold. Big lie number 1, rice and fish guarantee longevity. For decades, the image has been romanticized. A steaming bowl of rice, a piece of grilled fish, and the promise of a long, healthy life. Many believe that this simple Japanese combination is the magic formula for reaching 100. But the truth is far less glamorous. This belief is one of the biggest lies in aging. White rice, though comforting and familiar, comes with hidden risks. It digests quickly, causing sudden spikes in blood sugar that put seniors at greater risk of developing type 2 diabetes. In fact, Japanese doctors themselves have noted that older patients who consume large amounts of refined rice often face rising diabetes rates, even while following traditional diets. It's a reality that doesn't fit neatly into the story we've been told about effortless longevity. Margaret Holloway, the 72-year-old retiree from Ohio, learned this lesson firsthand. She swapped out her bread for rice, convinced she was stepping into the lifestyle of Japanese centenarians. At first it felt virtuous. Her meals looked healthier, and she believed she was investing in her future. But after several months, a routine checkup revealed that her blood sugar had crept upward, and her doctor warned her that she was walking dangerously close to a diabetes diagnosis. What Margaret thought was her path to vitality was quietly undermining her health. And then there's fish. The myth suggests that eating fish daily is automatically protective. Yet the benefits of fish depend greatly on quality and preparation. Oily fish, such as salmon or mackerel, lightly grilled or steamed, can indeed support heart health. But fried fillers, fish sticks, or heavily sauced dishes tell a different story. Many US seniors, trying to eat like the Japanese, often choose what's convenient or affordable, sometimes farmed fish, high in additives, sometimes fish prepared with oils that do more harm than good. The assumption that fish equals longevity is misleading. Context and balance matter. The real lesson is this: rice and fish can be part of a healthy pattern, but they are not miracle foods. Portion control, preparation methods, and overall lifestyle carry more weight than any single ingredient. For seniors seeking better aging, it's not about blindly copying a foreign plate, it's about adapting principles wisely. Smaller servings of whole grains instead of large bowls of white rice, fish that is grilled or baked rather than fried, and meals built on moderation rather than excess are the practices that protect long-term health. Longevity isn't granted by tradition alone. It is sustained by balance, awareness, and choices that respect your body where you are today. Big lie number 2. Soy sauce, miso, and tofu are perfect foods. For years, soy-based foods have been promoted as flawless health boosters. Eat tofu for protein without guilt. Sip miso soup for heart health. Add soy sauce for flavor and balance. The promise is simple: traditional foods that supposedly explain Japanese longevity. But here's the truth: this picture is incomplete, and for many seniors dangerously misleading. Take soy sauce. That dark, savory liquid is praised as a staple of Japanese dining, yet a single tablespoon contains nearly 40% of your recommended daily sodium. For older adults, especially those already managing high blood pressure, that's not harmless seasoning. It's fuel for hypertension, stiffer arteries, and a higher stroke risk. Doctors in Japan have warned for decades that excess salt from soy sauce and miso contributes to the country's stroke rates. The very foods outsiders believe are saving, Japanese elders can also be quietly harming them. Miso soup is another example. Praised as a healing broth, it does contain probiotics, but its sodium load often cancels those benefits. For seniors, a daily bowl can slowly push blood pressure upward. Imagine sipping it every morning, believing it's extending your life, while in reality, it's quietly stressing your heart. And then there's tofu, celebrated as the champion of plant-based protein. Yes, tofu can be a healthy option, low in saturated fat and adaptable, but it is far from miraculous. Tofu doesn't erase inactivity, poor habits, or diets overloaded with salt. Many Americans embrace tofu as a magic replacement, but stir-fried in heavy sauces or paired with salty condiments, it loses its protective value and becomes just another food on the plate. This is where the emotional sting comes in. Have you ever trusted advice, only to find it made things worse? Margaret Holloway, a 72-year-old retiree from Ohio, did exactly that. She replaced her meat dishes with tofu and started mornings with instant miso packets, convinced she was copying the Japanese path to longevity. A year later, her doctor warned, "Your blood pressure is climbing. We need to address it now." What she thought was saving her was working against her. So what's the lesson? No single food is perfect. Moderation matters more than myth. Seniors can choose low-sodium soy sauce, or better yet, replace salt with herbs, garlic, or citrus. Enjoy miso occasionally, paired with vegetables that balance the sodium load. Treat tofu as one part of a varied diet, not the centerpiece. Dr. Takasumi's wisdom holds true. Food is just one piece of the puzzle. Longevity doesn't come from copying another culture's diet. It comes from adapting wisely to your body and environment. Margaret learned this balance. By cutting back on salty condiments and flavoring her meals with fresh herbs and spices, her blood pressure steadied, her energy returned, and for the first time, her effort matched her results. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Don't confuse tradition with perfection. Choose balance, and your body will thank you. Big lie number 3. Green tea is a miracle drink. Few drinks have been celebrated as widely as green tea. Experts and product labels echo the same promise. Drink green tea daily, and you'll protect your heart, sharpen your memory, and maybe even live decades longer. It sounds magical. One cup holding the secret to a longer life. But here's the truth. While green tea has real benefits, believing it is a miracle drink is one of the most misleading ideas in aging. Fresh brewed green tea is rich in catechins, antioxidants that may lower inflammation, support brain health, and reduce chronic disease risk. Dr. Akihiro Takasumi himself enjoyed a modest cup of unsweetened, freshly steeped tea each morning. For him, tea wasn't magic. It was one ritual in a larger lifestyle of moderation, movement, and connection. But in the United States, green tea often loses its benefits. Grocery shelves are lined with bottled green tea that, once you read the label, contains more added sugar than soda. What should be a healthful beverage becomes a hidden trap, spiking blood sugar, fueling weight gain, and erasing the very benefits people expect. The myth that green tea equals health collapses when the tea is drowned in syrup. Margaret Holloway experienced this herself. Inspired by articles praising green tea, she stocked her fridge with bottled versions and proudly swapped them for soda. Months later, instead of renewed energy, she gained weight, and her doctor warned her about rising blood sugar. What she thought was saving her was silently setting her back. So what's the lesson? Green tea can support healthy aging, but only when enjoyed the way it was meant to be. Brew it fresh, brew it simply, and drink it unsweetened. Add lemon or mint if you want flavor, not spoonfuls of sugar. Better still, treat tea as a calming ritual. Sip it slowly while reading, journaling, or connecting with a friend. The truth is, no drink holds miracle power. Green tea is valuable, but its real strength lies in moderation and intention. As Dr. Takasumi reminded his patients, food and drink support health, but they cannot replace the daily habits that keep life balanced. Green tea is not a miracle, but brewed with care, it can be a small daily act of wisdom. And often, those small acts make the biggest difference. Big lie number 4. Superfoods alone prevent aging. In today's wellness world, the word superfood has become almost sacred. Eat seaweed, sip fermented soybeans, snack on purple sweet potatoes. Do this and you'll stay young forever. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? The idea that a single food could guard against time itself. But here's the truth. Believing that superfoods alone prevent aging is one of the most misleading ideas seniors have ever been sold. Yes, Japanese elders eat these foods. Seaweed brings minerals, natto provides probiotics, and purple sweet potatoes are rich in antioxidants. On paper, it sounds like a recipe for immortality. But if these foods were truly the magic bullet, every Japanese senior would thrive past 100. The reality? Many still face heart disease, strokes, or frailty despite eating them daily. The secret to longevity was never the food alone. It was the life they built around it. Picture this: a Japanese grandmother, slightly stooped but radiant with joy, kneeling in her garden alongside neighbors. She laughs as she hands over freshly pulled radishes, her hands still dusty with soil. The food on her plate is nourishing, yes, but it's the gardening, the movement, the laughter, and the sense of belonging that sustain her. Now compare that to a senior in Ohio, sitting alone at a table, eating imported seaweed chips in silence. One has a full life, the other has only a plate. Which one do you think will age better? This is where the myth becomes dangerous. Many US seniors chase trends, AKI bowls, chia seeds, turmeric shots, believing their pantry holds the answer. But aging is far more complex. Longevity comes from movement, purpose, and friendship. Studies even show that isolation can shorten life expectancy as much as smoking, while social connection can add years of vitality. No superfood can replace the healing power of community. Margaret Holloway discovered this after her superfood experiment left her drained. Only when she joined a local gardening club, digging, planting, laughing with friends, did her energy and joy return. Vegetables still filled her plate, but it was the connections, the steps she took outdoors, and the bonds she built that made the real difference. The lesson is clear. Food supports life, but it cannot replace living. Superfoods have benefits, but they cannot shield anyone from aging in isolation. For seniors, the wiser path is balance. Eat nourishing foods, yes, but also walk daily, join groups, and nurture laughter with others. Longevity isn't hidden in a bowl of natto or seaweed. It's woven into the rhythm of days spent moving, sharing, and belonging. And that truth is far richer than any label promising super. Big lie number 5. Copying Japanese diets will make Americans live longer. One of the most popular and most dangerous ideas in aging advice is this: if I just copy the Japanese diet, I'll age like the Japanese. It feels logical. After all, Japan is home to some of the world's oldest people, and their plates are filled with rice, fish, tofu, and vegetables. Many Americans have rushed to mimic those exact meals, convinced they've uncovered the secret to a century of life. But here's the sobering truth: diets don't travel well, and copying them blindly can do more harm than good. The food supply in Japan is not the same as in the United States. Fish that arrives fresh at a Tokyo market may sit frozen for weeks before reaching an American grocery store. Traditional miso soup in a Japanese household might be homemade with care, while the version many US seniors find comes in salty, instant packets. Even the vegetables grown in Okinawa's volcanic soil aren't the same as what ends up in a plastic container on a supermarket shelf in Ohio. The myth that copying equals results ignores the reality of geography, culture, and lifestyle. And then there's the lifestyle piece. Japanese elders who live past 90 or 100 don't just eat differently, they move differently. They walk daily to markets, climb stairs in homes without elevators, and garden well into their 80s. Their meals are eaten slowly, in community, and often in smaller portions. Compare that with the typical US retirement routine. Long hours sitting, driving everywhere instead of walking, and eating meals in isolation. Copying the plate without copying the rhythm simply doesn't work. Margaret Holloway learned this lesson the hard way. She poured months into eating bowls of rice, miso soup, and tofu, convinced she was following the blueprint of Japanese centenarians. But instead of thriving, she felt sluggish, and her doctor warned her about rising blood pressure and sugar levels. She finally realized that the Japanese diet wasn't designed for her body, her environment, or her lifestyle. So she stopped chasing exotic recipes and began adapting principles instead. She downsized her portions, joined a local walking club, and replaced lonely dinners with coffee meetups with friends. The change was striking. Her energy improved, her numbers stabilized, and she felt more alive than she had in years. The lesson is clear. Don't copy, adapt. Borrowing the principles of moderation, variety, and mindful eating from Japan is powerful. But force-fitting foreign traditions onto American realities often backfires. Seniors in the US thrive not by imitating another country's diet, but by creating balanced routines that suit their lives. Portion control, daily movement, social connections, and foods that are fresh, accessible, and enjoyable. Longevity isn't about importing someone else's culture to your table. It's about respecting your own body, your community, and the rhythms that make sense where you live. The principle matters far more than the plate, and that truth can add more quality to your years than any borrowed recipe. For too long, seniors in America have been told that the secret to long life is hidden in someone else's kitchen. We've been urged to copy plates from Japan, to chase superfoods from distant lands, and to believe that one ingredient could somehow rewrite the story of aging. But now you see the truth. Longevity is not imported. It's created in the rhythm of your daily life. The real recipe isn't rice, fish, tofu, or green tea. It's not in bottled miracle drinks or in foods wrapped in the label super. It's found in how you live your days. It's in the morning walks that keep your legs strong. It's in the portion sizes that protect your blood sugar and your heart. It's in the laughter you share with friends, the phone calls with family, the conversations at the coffee shop that remind you that you are not alone. It's in the way you choose balance over excess, relationships over isolation, and small daily habits over quick fixes. Think of Dr. Akihiro Takasumi, who told his patients that food was only one piece of the puzzle. His century of life was not gifted by rice or miso. It was built on moderation, movement, purpose, and connection. And think of Margaret Holloway, who discovered that copying another country's diet didn't restore her health, but adapting the principles to her own life did. Her transformation didn't happen in the aisles of a specialty store. It happened when she found a walking club, downsized her plate, and reconnected with friends over simple coffee. And now think of yourself. What would change if you stopped chasing myths and started embracing the truths right in front of you? What if you measured your days not by the food you ate, but by the energy you felt, the people you loved, and the moments you cherished? The real longevity recipe isn't hidden in another culture's kitchen. It's found in your daily rhythm, your laughter, and your relationships. And that's a truth worth holding on to. If this opened your eyes, don't let it end here. Tap the like button right now. It tells YouTube that this message matters. Share this with a friend over 60 who deserves to live with more clarity and confidence. And subscribe to Better Aging Advice, because the truth about aging well is always better than the lies we've been told. Your best years aren't behind you. They're waiting to be lived with wisdom, balance, and joy.